Without further ado, I would like to introduce you all to our keynote speaker for today. That is Gabriela de Queiroz. And I spoke with her just a minute ago just to make sure that I did justice to pronouncing her name, but really great conversation and thrilled to have her join us today. She's the director of AI at Microsoft for Startups. And what's been great about her technical career as well is she's been involved in the community by also being the founder of Our Ladies, which boasts a community of 100,000. Also the founder of AI Inclusive, designed to bring forward those from minority communities to be inclusive in AI work. So without further ado, Gabriela, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the introduction. Very excited to be here today. I admire DataKind for so long, for over a decade. I think when DataKind had pretty much started. I'm going to share my screen. So give me 1 second because I have slides to show. And I will assume that everybody can see my screen now. I'm just moving my windows. Okay, great, awesome. Great. So thank you for having me here today. So I'm going to talk about communities, which is like the base of like everything that I do, no matter if I'm doing data science, AI, or any other thing. My Twitter handle is it's on the bottom of my slide, and there is also like some link with additional resources. And all right, let me introduce myself again. And so I'm a director of AI at Microsoft, working with startups. And I've been doing data science or even like statistics for a while now, for several years. And now, as you were all saying, and everybody knows, everything now is AI. No matter whatever your background, whatever you're doing, like a statistical model, it's AI. A machine learning model, it's AI. So everything now is AI. And I work with like a diverse set of audience, like developers, startups, but also like doing community work through Our Ladies, AI Inclusive, and other communities as well. So today I'm going to be talking first about Our Ladies because that was when everything started. And for some of you here that doesn't know what R is, I think we need to go a little bit back. So R is a programming language that was started as a research language for statisticians to do their research and to use statistical models. It's been over 30 years, I think, that the language was created. And then there is Our Ladies, which I'm going to talk about now. So Our Ladies is a worldwide organization that promotes diversity in the art community via meetups and mentorship in a friendly and a safe environment. Great. And then how did it all started? So let me give a background of like where I'm coming from and how everything started. So I moved to the US, it's going to be 12 years. So from Brazil, like South America, and we speak Portuguese, from Brazil to San Francisco. And like my view opened, like everything changed when I moved. And one of the reasons was there was something called Meetup, right? Meetup.com was a website that back then was, I don't know if it was getting started but there was a lot of traction, especially here in San Francisco. And I joke that it was like the best of the world for me. I was kind of like in that Disneyland, kind of like, I don't know which group I should join. Should I join the data visualization? Should I join the Hadoop group? Should I join the machine learning, data mining circle? So many groups to choose from. And the other best thing is like all these meetups, they had like food. So you would like learn for free, have a dinner. I was a student back then. And then meet a lot of other people. So networking was amazing. So after going to a lot of those meetups, I said, this is awesome. It's like everybody's doing this here as a volunteer. So, I'm getting a lot of like those events. I've been going to these events like almost every day. It's my time to give back to the community. So I start to think about like, what are the things that I knew that I could give back to the community. So as a statistician, I was using R for a while. And then one of the things that I noticed when going to these meetups was the majority of them were not diverse or inclusive, and sometimes not very welcoming. So I decided to do something differently. I decided to do something where, it would be a meetup, a group where it would be welcoming, friendly, safe, judgment-free, and where everybody would feel, again, like kind of like this sense of like community. So that's how Our Ladies was born in 2012. And this was our first logo. Very like, I don't even remember, probably you used Paint or something to create that. We didn't have like much technology. The website, you can see that I'm dating myself in a way. The website was created, but we had something. And then the first meetup was on a Wednesday, October 31. I was so excited. I was like, oh, I can't believe that I'm doing this. It's going to be a great place. I love R. I know that people are very excited about R, or I thought people would be very excited, right? And then we had this office, very pretty office in San Francisco. And then, some people signed up. I was very excited. It's going to be awesome. And then on the day, only 8 people showed up. And then I was very disappointed because I was so excited with, the idea of like creating this community, like teaching people about R, teaching them about the, some of like the technology or programming language that they would need to get into the workforce. And then only 8 people showed up. So I'm like, okay, let's move on. Let's do the presentation. Let's do this. And next time it's going to be better. Then at the end of the meetup, someone came back to me and said, Gabriela, you should be very grateful and happy because, 8 people showed up. And I'm like, why? And then they said, oh, like today it's Halloween and San Francisco is like, it's everybody's partying over San Francisco right now. So like 8 people is a good number. And then that was the first lesson that I learned. Never again host a meetup in a Halloween night because people are going to be doing something else and not coming to your meetup. But anyway, things change. A lot of meetups were hosted here in San Francisco. Oh, let me go back. So Our Ladies was born here by myself. I did a lot of like word of mouth, trying to, share this passion of mine. And then what happened, like kind of like organically without like any planning, other chapters were born like organically. So like 3 more chapters were born until 2016. And then in 2016, I got together with people from London, and then we decided to do something else. Like we knew that people were very eager to join this community. They wanted to have a chapter, and we were able to get some funding because that was the main pain point back then. Like, how are we going to support all the meetup fees for the group, right? If we want to achieve a global reach, we need to have some kind of like support. So we were awarded $10,000, which sounds very little, but for us was like, wow, that's amazing. And one of the goals was to establish Our Ladies groups worldwide. And then we had a team which made a huge difference. It was not only myself, but a team of volunteers who were working to make that happen. And then fast forward like to today, Our Ladies is pretty much all over the world in more than 60 countries, 200 cities, more than 100,000 members. So we are in US, Canada, Latin America, Europe, Africa, Asia, Australia. And we also have one chapter that is remote. And then moving back to 2019, I was thinking, to myself, it's been 7 years since I was leading Our Ladies and working with Our Ladies. And then there was a lot of change happening in the tech industry, especially around AI. So that's when AI was going in a full speed. And then I was seeing a lot of discussions around discrimination, bias, and a lot of like implications of AI being discussed, especially like in in places like Silicon Valley and maybe like China and in other places. But very small places were aware of like the implications of AI. People had no idea, especially like underrepresented communities or underserved communities. They had no idea about what was coming with the whole AI revolution. So I thought to myself, is there anything that I can do to help? And I'm like, okay, great. Community is my heart, my soul. It's in everything that I do. I should do something about this. So I decided then to create a new community because then, right? Why not? So I decided to create a new project called AI Inclusive, where the idea was to make AI inclusive to everyone. And the mission was to increase the representation and the participation of like minority groups in AI. That was November 2019. Then first event was launched in San Francisco, same month in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. That's where I was born and raised. So we did this amazing event in both locations. It was great, a lot of great feedback. People were eager to learn more. But then COVID happened. Then everything that I had in mind, I had to shift and think what I'm going to do with this new community. So we had to shift, as a lot of other communities, we had to shift from in-person events to virtual events. But then virtual events, after a while, everybody had the Zoom fatigue. Everybody was like, I cannot have more videos. I cannot sit still watching videos or talking to people through video. I can't. So there was like a saturation of like virtual events. So we had to think again, what are some other things that we can still do so we can engage the community, we can empower the community? Is there anything that we can do that is not going to be a virtual event? So we pivot a little bit. So we decided to partner with conferences and courses on like scholarships. So our main goal then was to provide scholarships to the minority groups or underrepresented groups all over the world. So we partner, we hosted some office hours to help them on this journey, because we all know that taking classes by ourselves we always give up. It's very hard to keep going. So the office hours was a way for us to keep engaging the community. And then we host a few virtual events. Just to give you some numbers, because numbers are great. It's a way to see how things are progressing. We got to a point of like over 20,000 members, and we gave more than 2,000 scholarships. But then, of course, there is no community without challenge. There is no progression without challenge. As we know, everything is volunteer based. So there are a lot of challenges that we go through. And I'm going to show, I would say, the top 3 challenges that we had, especially through Our Ladies, because Our Ladies has been active for several years. So that's where we can see a lot of challenges. With AI Inclusive, the challenges were more about like, okay, now there is the COVID and then everything is virtual. How can we still engage with the community? So it was some challenges, but I would say in a smaller scale, where Our Ladies became something huge and the challenges were also like big. So one of the challenges is like, how do you keep the initial excitement? So we would go to conferences, we would talk to people, we would be on Twitter and other social media, and people were talking about how great Our Ladies was, how amazing the events were, and they would get so excited. Like by the end of a conference, they would come to us and say, "Oh, how can I set up my chapter? How can I have a chapter in my city? I'm so excited. I see this is amazing." And then they get in touch. We had our onboarding email, and then they would never set up the chapter. And then some chapters were active for a while, but then they would stop being active. So that was the main one. How would we keep the initial excitement? So is there like anything that we could do to support them to either like start the chapters or to have their chapter active for making sure that they are nurturing the community. The second one, which is always, no matter which size is your community or organization, that it's volunteer based. How do you recruit more volunteers, right? So it's hard. It's very, very hard because there is no money, like you don't have a salary. You have your full-time job. Usually you have your full-time job, you have your family, you have so many things to take care of. And this is kind of like your side project. So how do you recruit more volunteers? It's very, very hard, because also like we don't know, it's hard to predict like how many hours you are going to be spending on the project or in the organization. So second challenge. The third challenge that we had as we were growing is, great, we have this funding that we got. We are able to sustain ourselves for a while, paying mostly meetup fees. But then do we get this money as an individual? Do we need to get this money as an organization? How do we manage? Do we become a nonprofit? What are the things that we should do? So there is a lot of like, well, there was a lot of like trying to understand all the possibilities, and none of us were familiar with this path. So we had to set up calls with different organizations and communities to understand like what is the path that they did. And there were so many different paths that we were completely like confused which path to go. In the end, we became a nonprofit. And then once becoming a nonprofit, how do you fundraise money? Do we go after companies? Do we ask on social media? What do we do, right? So like, do we need to hire someone to be responsible for that? Again, very challenging. It took us like months and months and months to realize the best way for us. And then let's talk about the impact, because I talked about the challenges, I talked about the numbers, right? But numbers are great. And I think there are other ways that we can see impacts that are not numbers. And we have seen a lot of like those impacts through Our Ladies and AI Inclusive. And I'm going to show you some of the impacts that I'm very happy to see. And you know, every time we hear a story of like how Our Ladies or AI Inclusive changed their lives, it's just amazing to see like the impact that we as an individual, we as an organization, we are making, not only locally, but like globally. The first one is around creating a safe and welcoming environment for people to learn. There is a lot of like great stories in different communities. Like there was one chapter, I don't remember if it was Indonesia or in another place, I think it was Indonesia, where there were a lot of like mothers in the room, and then the dads, the partners, they were the back of the room taking care of the child, while the moms or the primary care, they would be in the front of the classroom learning R. And some of like those meetups, they even didn't have like internet or computers, but they had like the paper and pen, and they were learning how to program in a paper and pen without like any infrastructure that we all take for granted. So this is just like great to see like how this environment is safe for you to learn, and then the support of like your partners and the other people from the community. Another one is like empowering folks from all backgrounds to start change or advance careers. What we have seen is people coming from all different backgrounds joining Our Ladies, and then feeling confident enough to go and talk about something in front of the audience. So not only about different topics like epidemiology, AI ethics, how can you automate your reports? What else we have here? Using R and Python, how to build your data science portfolio using GitHub, like another one around people analytics, so HR. So all these different backgrounds coming together not only to share their knowledge, but also like to sharing their knowledge across chapters and across different audience. Another one is like being part of this large and supportive network, right? So like, as I mentioned before, we are pretty much all over the world, but because we are so connected, no matter where you are in the world, you feel like you are part of this network. You feel that you belong. You feel that you are not by yourself. Another impact is one thing that we realize is like, there were some places, like some cities that were very isolated in a way, and creating a chapter was not sustainable or possible. And then we came up with this idea of like having one remote chapter where no matter where you were, you could join. And again, getting back to this sense of community, and like no matter where you are, you can feel that you belong and that you can share, that you have this network. Another one of my favorite ones was when I see all these different communities coming together and all the collaborations happening across communities. And I always say that there is not like, some people say, no, it's saturated. There is a lot of community. And I say, no, there is not enough. There is always a space for another community to join the network of like communities, because the more the better. We need that type of communities. It's so important for us. But I love to see how we see like people from Our Ladies, then collaborating with PyLadies, with Women in Data, Women in AI, and all OpenScape's Bioconductor, even DataKind, NumFocus, OpenSci, like all integrating and helping each other to succeed. Another one is like, as I mentioned, connect with people all over the world, but in this case, in person. So every time there is a R conference, we all come together. We have like a official photo that we all come together, we meet, and then we take a picture. And I love those pictures, because if you look at pictures before Our Ladies at conferences and you see pictures from our conferences after Our Ladies, you can see from the pictures that there is a diverse set of like individuals participating, talking. So again, there is the number, which is great, but there are some things that you can see that you cannot see by the numbers, but that you can only experience and see when you are insert in the community. And it's amazing to see like people from like all over the world with like, they got scholarship, they had the opportunity to come to those big conferences in the US or Europe, for example. Another one is like, we create allies, sponsorship, mentorships, and lifelong connections. People that met through Our Ladies became friends, and they have a life even like after they said, okay, I gave my my contribution, now I want to move on to another thing. But they're still friends, and they still have the Our Ladies, you know, with them. They carry the this happiness of like being part of this community, and then they bring that to the rest of their lives. So communities are only possible because all of you here, because you are the heart and soul of the community. So the passion, the dedication, and the desire to make a difference are pivotal. So we are not just building communities, in my opinion, we are transforming this whole landscape of like data science, AI, tech in general, right? We are opening doors to new possibilities and opportunities for everyone. And as this talk comes to an end, because I want to take questions in the end, let's not forget all the impacts that we have already made and the potential that we have to do even more. So I want again to thank you all for all your work and dedication. And that's all I have for now. I would love to take questions. So thank you very much. Please get in touch, and thank you for your work.
Great. Thanks so much, Gabriela. If anyone has any questions, please feel free to put them in the Q&A chat. I see one question already about a recording. That's always a popular one. We'll make sure to get that information to you, and we'll be sharing recordings.
If we don't have any questions, I can answer a few things. I feel like being part of like community, it changed everything from personally, and a lot of like opportunities that I had in terms of like new opportunities professionally, like getting new jobs and moving roles. I got a lot of opportunities because of the work that I was doing with the community. Um, like people knew me because of the community, and it's so grateful, so great to hear all the stories. There is nothing more rewarding than you listening to the stories, how those communities change their lives, and the impact, because we have no idea like the impact. It's hard, again, it's hard to measure the impact unless someone comes to you and say, hey Gabriela, when I joined Our Ladies, I was a stay-at-home mom. That's a real example. I was a stay-at-home mom. I was out of the workforce for 15 years, but then I heard about this community and I was curious. I was not a data scientist. I was doing something else before I take a break. But I just learned like how welcoming this community is. I'm thinking of starting a chapter, and I said, yes, go for it, because you have all the support from us, from the leadership team, for you to create your chapter, and then your community is going to grow, and you're going to feel something that you have never felt before. So that person was leading a chapter, was giving even like workshops again, like she had no R background, but she would leverage materials that other chapters created. And then after a few months, she started applying for jobs, and then she got an internship in data science, and then she got a full-time job, and now like she's thriving. And it's like great to see like stories like that. It's like what makes us going, because it's a lot of work. Again, it's not very easy to do this type of work. It's like usually in our free time or as a side project. Our employers not always support this type of work. I see one question here from Lauren. So what advice do you have for our volunteers who are seeking to build vibrant professional communities? What helps people feel connected to those communities when there might not be scholarships or a lot of resources available? How do you foster that sense of belonging? That's a great question. I would say the first thing comes from you. Like if it's something that you are passionate, like this is Our Ladies was something, it is something that I'm passionate about. And when like think about the example that I gave, I prepared everything for the first meetup and only 8 people showed up. Like I was like, okay, that's okay. Even like 3 people shows up, that's a victory for me. And I'm doing this. I know the impact that this is going to bring. So don't feel like you need to have like lots of resources. I had non-resource at all. Even like speaking English was a challenge. I don't even know how I did the first meetup because my English was so bad. I don't even know how I got in front of the people because that was not something that I was comfortable doing. But again, because I was so passionate about this and I believed in the mission, it gave me strength to keep going. And then how do you foster a sense of belonging? It's like making sure that all the voices are heard. Talk to the people that go to your meetup, try to understand, try to listen to them, and their feedback are the best feedback for you to go and get better and better and better. So the sense of belonging comes from you listening to your community, listening to your needs, listening to what is working, what is not working, making sure that they feel included. And you as a leader, or you as someone that is, owning this, making sure you have to be very mindful that everybody's participating. If you see someone that is not participating, try to talk to that person, see what am I missing to make sure that you feel like you belong here. I go to the next question. For somebody who is currently applying for masters in data science, how can I more actively join such events and contribute with what I know? Also, how to build up all these skills from scratch? Great question. well, there are a lot of events. Again, like you can join local events, which I usually recommend because you have this personal connection with people, but also like there are a lot of like online events. And then to contribute back, you can check all these events and then offer your skills or your knowledge to share with others. You can ask. And we organizers, we do appreciate when people come and say, hey, I would love to speak at your event. Can I? Because it's hard. It's hard for us to find people that can, that want to speak, that want to give workshop. We have to be doing this or looking for those people all the time. So we appreciate when someone comes to us and say, yes, I can help, or yes, I can give a talk, or yes, I can give a workshop. So that would be my suggestion. The other piece about building up all these skills from scratch. I think, especially right now with AI and all the technology and all the resources that we have, try to leverage that instead of like starting from scratch. You have kind of like a co-pilot, we call co-pilot, or a pair or someone to help you in this journey as well. I like courses. I like more like structured courses. So I go usually for like structured courses in different platforms. And I also like to do hands-on. So I look for places where I can, for example, watch videos and they have some hands-on experience. And then also another, and then if I have any question now, I would ask, for example, ChatGPT. Of course, don't trust 100% on the answers, but you can get a sense of like the explanation. It gives you like more help on understanding, like especially when the concept is hard. So again, courses are great. If you like books, they are great. There is a lot of like tutorials online. And then as a data scientist, think about that there is a lot. It's impossible to know everything. So think about what is the market, what the market is looking for, what kind of like skills. Because when you look at job description, they are going to ask for everything that they can. Like we all know that they want the unicorn, someone that knows everything. And again, that's not realistic. So think about what is the main thing that you should know. Like, for example, most of the companies, they have data, right? So like, how do you work with the data? How do you generate insights for the data? So think about this, I would say, basic skills that all the companies, they need from a data scientist. Hopefully that answers your question. Another question is around, oh, great question. Someone is saying like they know R, SQL, spreadsheet, Tableau. How can I be helpful to DataKind? That's a great question, and I don't know exactly, but I know that DataKind there's a lot of like projects, and these skills are very valuable. So I'm sure that DataKind has a way to make sure that you are involved. And going back to the data science one, since we still have more time, one of the things that we see all the time, and even though like people say with AI, we are going to lose our jobs and, the skills are going to change. Sure, the skills are going to shift a little bit as they have been shifting throughout the years. You're going to be using these new tools to support your work. So, there are more questions. Oh, sorry, there is the Q&A here and I'm missing a lot of questions. Okay, I just realized that there is a lot of questions on the Q&A, so I'm going to go there. So Ximena, how would you recommend getting started in online communities while being a student? You can join a community that is already out there. It doesn't matter if you are like high school or if you are doing your bachelor. There is no like prerequisites. And being a student and joining those communities, I would say it's the best match is the best option, is in the best time, because you are learning a lot, and then you have the support of the community. So there is no prerequisite, just join. Another question is about, would you love to learn more about your thoughts on how you created platforms for your communities? I don't know if you are saying like the platforms. So if you're saying like platforms like Meetup, so we leverage the meetup.com as a platform for us to host our events. And then we leverage also like their huge database. So they had like thousands of people already in the meetup.com ecosystem. So there is a recommendation system. So they would recommend some events for people that are already in the platform. So we used like meetup.com, and then for internal conversation and chat, we use Slack, and then for everything related to the documents or presentations, everything was on GitHub. Another question here is about, are there any lessons from your work with startups, non-tech, adopting data science, and charities adopting data science? Great question. So my work with startups, mostly they are tech startups, and they are no charities or nonprofits. But from what I see, not from my work with startups, is the non-tech one, and even like tech ones, every time there is a change, they are a little bit skeptical of like this new technology. So they take longer to adapt data science, AI, ML, anything that they don't know much about it. Okay, I still have time, so I'm trying to go through as fast as I can for all the questions. Okay, I feel like this is similar, Miles, similar to the other question about, you were saying that you are in the master's program, that you have skills in Python, SQL, Power BI, R, and Tableau. What kind of projects are available out there, and which ones you recommend? So there are a lot of like open source projects, and also like, again, DataKind and other organizations that they can leverage your knowledge. And projects, it depends of like, if you want to, what is your goal? If your goal is like, I don't have work experience and I want to create a portfolio, I would say joining organizations like DataKind, Our Ladies, and other organizations, so you can give talks and help them, or you can create projects that you are passionate about, and then you can share in your GitHub, for example. Okay, I'm going to the next one. Okay, so the next one is, how has absorbing people who are at their early stages of their learning or career been like? Not sure about the question, if I understand correctly. So if you are in the early stages of learning and career, I think you are talking about getting a job. I say that the first job is the hardest one. Is so hard to get your first job, because usually you don't have work experience, or you are out of school, and all you have, which is a lot, is your school experience, like all the classes that you have taken, or some side projects. So the first one is the hardest, because you have to show what you can offer, and the company needs to see the value that you can bring, that they can invest you. So I say to people, like, if you don't have work experience and you are trying to find your first job, make sure that you have a portfolio on GitHub, that you volunteer at different organizations, that you can do something that you can show, other than your classes that you have taken, even classes. But if you have homework, try to move to GitHub so you can show you can show the company or the hiring manager that you have coding experience. So that would be another way. Great. Next one. Gabriela, with your experience in building community in data science, do you see similar trend to build communities in AI? Are folks with AI skill joining our ladies, or do they look for something else in terms of community? I see both. I see there is a trend, luckily, because I think it benefits all of us in new communities around AI. So there are several new communities around AI, but also like our ladies and even our language, it evolves as well. And as I was saying before, there is a set of skills that I see that they don't change. Like we still need data analysts, we still need data scientists. So the our ladies community, I don't think they are going anywhere for a while. And there is some AI work that you can also do with AI, with R. And there is other type of work like epidemiology, journalism that people use R. So I see that they join our ladies and they also join other communities. Great, Sheila. Enjoyed your talk. What do you think are the strengths that a data product manager or ML project manager can add to the community? A lot. Because you bring another perspective, you bring another view, you bring a different view that it's valuable for the community. So even if you feel like, I am a product manager or a project manager, there are a lot of skills that are important for people to know that we don't get exposed. I'll give an example. As a data scientist, it took me like a while to understand the role of a product manager or a project manager in ML and data. And I wish I had that exposure like years before. It would be very helpful for me, even if I thought about like, oh, there is this other career or this other path, or no, I'm going to be working with managers, project managers, or product managers. How do we data scientists interact with them? So yes, very, very valuable to join communities. Let's see. As someone who is employed full-time and would still like to be involved in these communities of giving back through data, any suggestion to stay motivated to do so despite limited time and bandwidth? I would say, even if it's like 1 hour or less, like 1 hour a month, 2 hours a month, that's good enough, right? It's hard to find time, but if you can commit just a little bit, even a little bit every 3 months, I don't know, just set a goal and say, I'm going to try to share my knowledge with the community. Okay, I'm doing this at work, and I'm going to share this with the community. This is, again, it's something that you can do. I don't think you need to commit a lot of your time. Like if a lot of us commit at least a little, it makes a huge impact. So yes, awesome. Okay, still 4 minutes. Let's see if I have more questions on the, when I give talks, the best part is to answer questions, because I can talk for 1 hour, but like the questions that you have, it's so important, again, and it can change your perception. So I'm going to see what else we have over here. Okay, the job market is really tough, yes, right now. And advice on how to stand out. I'll give you my perspective as hiring manager, and it can be a very unique perspective. But when I'm hiring, and we get a lot of, first of all, we get a lot of resumes, a lot. Like the first 3 roles that I opened, we had over 2,000 applicants. And I try to look at all the resumes that I get. The first thing that I see, because in a resume, you can only, suggested is that you have 1 page, 2 pages max, right? So there is not much you can tell in 1 page. So what I try to do is, like, if you have any link to your LinkedIn, link to our website, link to your GitHub, link to whatever, I try to go to those links first, even before looking at your resume. Why I do that? Because I think that you have much more than just like the plain text. In a website, you can show your projects. If there is data visualization, I can see the visualization. If you are doing some kind of like storytelling, I can see on a website. The GitHub, I can see your coding experience. On the resume, I can only see things that are written, so only one format. And now that I'm thinking about, even if you think now about the whole generative AI, that everything is becoming multimodal, which means that it's not only about text, it's text, image, video, audio, right? So all these different type of data. The same thing goes to our resume. I'm not looking at only the text. I'm looking at your visualizations, their code, everything else that you can share. So again, make sure that you have all these links that can tell more about you than just your resume. Let's see. Okay, this question I already answered. And one final remark before I go. No matter where you are in your career, if it's your first time applying for a job, or if you are already a senior applying to a job, you are going to get rejected. That's the real truth. I get rejections all the time. And it's not because I'm not good. It's not because I'm not good enough. It's because people are looking for a very specific profile. They are looking for this match. And in an interview, there is just this much we can infer about the candidate. So if you get rejected, even if you get rejected right away, like once you apply, don't feel discouraged. Try again and try again and try again, because that's the common thing. It's not you, it's how the industry has been. So you are going to apply to a bunch of jobs. You're going to get a lot of rejections. But I promise you that you're going to get a fit later on, and you are going to be grateful that you didn't get all the other positions, because it has to be some kind of like match between what the manager or the hiring manager is looking for and what you have to offer. So again, we are on time. I want to thank you everybody for joining the call. If you have any questions, if you want to get in touch, please do. And thank you. I hope to see you all soon. Please connect with me, and I'll see you all later.